Hey, Gluten Free Badass, how are you? I'm so glad that we're here tonight. Do you know what this Friday is? It is International Cabernet Sauvignon Day. So let's enjoy our favorite Cabernet and let's make something that would be wonderful to eat with it. And sometimes, and what we're gonna really work with is one of the strengths of gluten-free flour, because so often gluten-free flours don't really give us the kind of bread that we want. But here we are going to use one of the strengths of gluten-free flours, which is we're going to make a Tuscan focaccia bread. So let me show you what the end result looks like. So it's a bread that doesn't rise very much. That's totally in our wheelhouse. Breads that don't rise. This is perfect for us. And so we are going to learn how to make it delicious and irresistible. So first of all, we of course have our favorite helper. Come, favorite helper. We have Catherine. Andrew tonight is starting 8 weeks of soccer. Hi, Kelly. We're glad you're watching. Is Felix with you tonight? And so we have our camera fixed. So what we're going to have to do is show you lots of things up front and be like, here we go, look at this. Because Andrew's not here to get us close-ups. But we promise we will still have a great time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So first we're going to start with some really neat flours. And hi, Alice. Thank you for joining us too. Say hi to Sassy.
Hi.
And what we're going to do is, will you go fix I can't quite see.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
I don't know
Thank
why.
you. I know, it's okay. We'll make it work.
There.
Oh, okay. Hi, Allie. Hi, Kelly. Okay, so here's the deal. We're going to start with some really good flours, and each of them have a very important role, all right? So, Catherine, why don't we start with this one? This is white rice flour, not the sweet rice flour. This is just regular white rice flour. You want to pour that into our bowl, please?
Yeah.
That gives us tenderness. That's going to make our bread just taste very nice. But even though we have our white rice, we also have sorghum flour. And, oh, good. Jeff, you're here too. Hi, good to see you. What we have, or, know of you, I guess I can't see that much, but we're glad you're here. All right, so sorghum flour, this is like a whole grain flour. Will you pour that in, please? It still kind of gives us that white bread consistency, but gives us that extra yumminess of sorghum. And you might be wondering, what is sorghum? Sorghum is kind of like, it grows like corn. It's a nice tall plant, particularly popular in the south of the United States. And it can do a lot of things. You can pop it, you can make a risotto out of it, and you can make a really good flour out of it too. But now we want some starches too. So first we have our potato starch, which gives our focaccia bread a really nice crumb. Which we always want that, and it hangs on to some of that moisture that we really want. And then finally we have cornstarch. And the reason we have a bunch of starches is because that helps bind things together. All right, I'm gonna pour that in. Wonderful. Now the other thing that really helps to bind things together, and so we don't need xanthan gum, is psyllium husks, which is a very classic way to add, again, just some of that structure and binding so that our air that we're putting in with our yeast can stay inside the bread and not float out. Yes, Kelly, sorghum flour does provide fiber. I'd have to go look how much, but it does. So while Catherine actually stirs all of our wonderful flours together, I am gonna go look because I'm fascinated and want to know too. I'm guessing 2 or 3 per serving. Let's find out. All right, Catherine, you stir up, please.
Stirring.
And stirring. All right, let's see here. Mom just, oh, here, I've got my glasses. Oh, how convenient that I have my glasses to boot. Oh, I was right, 2 grams. It has 2 grams in a 1/4 cup serving, and it has 3 grams of protein, very low in fat, only a 1/2 gram, and it has good carbohydrates. But it's very good. Kind of mellow, but yet you're going to be able to taste it in the focaccia bread in a good way. All right. Do you have that all stirred up, my friend?
Do you think it looks stirred up?
I think it looks stirred up. Let's show everybody else. Here we go. Thank you, Allie, for the compliment. Allie said nice stirring. So look at that. It's all kind of one color. We definitely want that. Now this is just a basic flour recipe that we're putting together that's very good for our kind of bread. But we also need to add some important things. So we have our salt and our yeast. I'm going to pour that in and kind of give it a good sprinkle everywhere, will you? And of course, our yeast likes sugar. It needs sugar. And also the sugar actually gives it a little bit of a crust. Are you gonna eat a little sugar? Of course. Funny, you didn't want to eat any sorghum. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Kelly, yes. Let's give a shout out to our friends in Florida, particularly our good friend and PR specialist, Caitlin. Caitlin, we hope you and Morgan are very safe, and everyone else in Florida is very safe with this really awful hurricane coming.
Oh, is a hurricane coming?
I know, yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not good. But I'm sure they will be strong and brave. All right, so right now, Catherine is stirring in these other dry items, and let's give everyone a good look again. You're doing a good job. Here we go. So here, again, not much difference, but we want to, take a good look at it. Now, you're done with that right now. Now, here's another thing that we want to add to our bread. We actually want to add some egg whites. And we want overall a certain amount of liquid, and it's going to be a mix of water and egg whites. Oh, good, Caitlin. I'm glad you're getting stocked up. That is super important. Let's take this. All right, so what we're going to do, actually, let's move this over a little bit so people can see. We are going to put in 2 egg whites, and the egg whites just help to give a little bit of fluffiness to our focaccia bread, which is very important. Maybe we'll practice on our own first, if you don't mind, but I think I'm glad you are curious and want to try it. So in total, as you will see in the recipe later, we want 425 grams of liquid, and so the egg whites add to that, very much so. And Catherine, let's get in 425 is very close to about 2 cups. So give me a moment to fill this up, and we will stir that in. All right, I'm going to stir that, I'm going to pour that in, and then if you would stir it up again. All right. Now, I have to admit, when I was growing up and baking and loving it, I always went for the quick items. I always wanted my cookies or my banana bread or my blueberry muffins right away. I'm basically a pretty impatient person, so I always wanted that immediate satisfaction. But then, as I got older, probably developed a tad more patience, right? Not a ton, right? But some, as my daughter can attest to. I decided I wanted that goodness of, yeast. I wanted the breads, I wanted the cream puffs, I wanted the eclairs, and all those good things. You know what, can I help you get down just a little deeper? Yeah, you're doing great though. And what we're gonna do is we're stirring this all up. And the thing is we're gonna have to let this rise for 2 hours. We're not gonna do that together. We're just gonna use the magic of live streaming and other prepped things. And we're gonna put this, all right. So, we're gonna take a good look here. It's a thick dough, and that's exactly the way we want it. Give me just 1 minute. Let me show it to everyone, okay? So here's our dough, all right? And you are just simply going to take your whisk out, and let's get this. Yum. Oh, here's the fun thing, too. It's vegan as well.
Can I try a little?
Would you? Yeah. Because we have so many friends who are not only vegan by choice, but also maybe they're lactose intolerant or they're allergic to milk. And this is one of those things where you can feed to everybody, which is wonderful.
Yum.
It is good. How often can you say that plain bread dough, wet bread dough is yum? It is yum. It is.
Why do I put the onions and rosemary in?
Oh, what a great question. What a wonderful segue. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to put this in the refrigerator for 2 hours and let it rise. Actually, I'm making that up. You're actually going to put it on the counter and let it rise for 2 hours. Then, when you're done, you're going to put it in the refrigerator because you can use it for up to 5 days. This is going to make you 2 loaves, okay? Or 2 pans, I should say, of focaccia bread. You can make one and then, freeze the dough and defrost it at another time, or you can make both and, have a finished product for each one and throw that one in the freezer too. It's up to you. All right, so with the magic of live stream, it's been 2 hours. How wonderful. And we are going to put, so here is some dough that we made earlier, and you can see we actually took half of it out. So now we're going to put the other half in. And, oops, actually before we do that, I gotta love this. Okay, we want to have olive oil both on the bottom and on the top. All right, so Catherine, I'm going to ask you to pour in this olive oil. Yes, I do mean, Kelly, that the dough can stay in the refrigerator up to 5 days. Isn't that kind of neat? Which is very helpful. If you do end up freezing part of it, you want to give it you know, like a day to defrost. So just move it from the freezer to the fridge. Actually, just keep pouring that. Just pour that puppy all in if you would. So this is the key thing. I really like focaccia bread to like dip into olive oil, but I like focaccia bread even better when it comes with its own olive oil. Yeah, have all you want. It's so healthy, like it's heart healthy, and we like that. So I'm just kind of, you know, turning it around so it all goes over the bottom. Now we're gonna get our friend the dough. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Did you need that shoulder?
Yes, I do
Oh,
need this shoulder.
dang it. All right, I'm sorry. All right, so we're pouring this in, and we're gonna smush it down. All right.
Can I try some? Like when it's risen?
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of is risen now. So I want you to take a look at what this really looks like, okay? So it's got some form, it's got some air in it, and we're, you know, a little bit of that carbon dioxide from the yeast, which is wonderful. And we've got that put in there. So next, and Kelly, I agree with you, isn't it nice where you could just bring out warm focaccia bread? And this is the kind of bread where you can serve it warm. Some gluten-free breads, you have to let everything cool, but really here, this is, again, we're looking for not a huge rise, and so it's perfect for cutting right away. All right, so now we have some fun parts. We are going to put in, I know, rosemary and onions. And this part's easy. We just go, Susan, do you mind if I do this part? Boom. We're done. Yeah, so now move it around and kind of put it around and we'll show it to everyone. So put as much rosemary in as you'd like. I really like a lot of rosemary, and man, does it make your kitchen smell good while it's baking. And it only takes like 20 to 30 minutes, usually 20 minutes to bake. You know, Felix, it does look a lot like cookie dough, but it's not as sweet, is what I would say. It has a fraction of the sugar. Next time we see you, we would love for you to make focaccia bread with us, and then you can kind of see what's similar and what's different. But thank you for pointing that out. All right, so Catherine's done a lovely job of putting the rosemary on, and now we're gonna take a bunch, that's cool, Allie, thank you for agreeing. With Felix, we are gonna just sprinkle on a bunch of onions, and then here's kind of the thing. We want the onions to really infuse its flavor. Ooh, and by the way, these are Vidalia onions. We want sweet onions. The sweet is a wonderful contrast.
Ooh, that's strong.
Yeah, I know, but it's still sweet, but it would be even stronger if it wasn't the sweet. So what we're gonna do is right now they're kind of laying on top. Catherine and I have the fun job of poking it in. Poke, 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 poke. And one of the fun things about bread, because let's talk about this, bread is the most eaten food in the entire world, which I was a little surprised about. I didn't know if all these other cultures were interested in bread. Apparently they are, although bread, I'm sorry, I did not mean to hit you. Thank you for being flexible on that. But also, Cabernet Sauvignon is the most popular wine in the world as well. So what a great pairing. All right, do you feel everything's poked in? All right, so now we have a whole nother set of poking. Like we actually get to play with our food legitimately. Now we put holes in other parts where there's no onions and there's no rosemary, because we actually want the olive oil that we're gonna put on top to sink into those holes and make it delectable. Holes, holes, holes. Now bread's really neat, right? It has all sorts of cultural, and besides just being like this, you know, portable food that is full of ready, you know, to use energy for our badass ways, but it also has so much different cultural significance. So for example, what do you think is the best thing since sliced bread? I'd really like to know in the comments. Can you see the holes we've put in? We put in a lot of holes.
I say donuts.
Donut? Do you think donuts are the best thing since sliced bread?
Yeah, probably.
I'm in for that.
You mean food or anything?
Anything. But you can start with food.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with food and I'm gonna say donuts.
Okay, how about you all? What do you think? And now, what we have in here is 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, we have an 8x8 pan here, and you might think that's a lot, and the answer is yes, it is. Yeah, would you put that on? Because I'm gonna tell actually one of my favorite bread stories. All right, so bread, like we said, it can be in like religious ceremonies. It's part of like how we call money bread, but we also, it also can be used as a way to like kind of stick it to your military enemies. So for example, the croissant is, everyone thinks, so many people think it came from France. It actually came from the Austrians, because the Turks back in the 1600s tried to dig tunnels into underneath Vienna, and they were going to have this huge siege on the city. But a baker who was baking heard them tunneling under the city and alerted all of his fellow bakers and, citizens of Vienna, and they conquered the Turks. But here's the interesting thing. They then made, to celebrate their victory, they made a crescent-shaped piece of bread that just happened to look like the crescent moon on the Turkish flag and then they would eat it. And that was kind of their way of saying, ha, we won, which I love. I love a bunch of sassy bakers. Isn't that true? All right. So Kelly, I would completely agree. This is a very wonderful job, poking holes and just brushing olive oil all over the top is a great thing for young helpers in the area. Yes, Allie.
Sabotage.
Baker sabotage. Indeed. Indeed. The other thing too is focaccia, one of the kind of historic culinary debates, is where did it first originate? Did it originate with the ancient Greeks, or did it originate with the Roman Empire?
Where did it originate?
Well, we're not sure. There's no one from that time to tell us, since that was roughly about 2,500 years ago.
Even though I did research it, I was not in food.
That's true. Catherine did a wonderful thing on the ancient, wonderful studies and research on
Rome and Greek.
Rome and Greek, both of them?
Yeah.
And the Egyptians, right?
And the Egyptians and the Incas and the Mayas.
Nice. I'm really glad that you did that. I bet. But you didn't learn about focaccia bread.
No, because I wasn't in the food category.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand.
I was in the housing.
Yes. So Kelly, I agree. Badass bakery. They're everywhere historically, as we can see. But the where am I going with this? Oh, but my theory is that maybe the Greeks did start it, but when the Romans invaded the Greeks,
they took over.
They took it over and they brought it with them, and then they did all these different fun variations. Like focaccia bread, like I said, we're just making one with you out of the Tuscan region. There's actually savory ones, there's sweet ones, there's one area of
the
Italy.
Tuscan region?
Oh, it's kind of mid-Italy. We should go.
Sure.
I think that's an important, right? We could call it a field trip. But there's actually a version in which people will hide Easter eggs, colored Easter eggs inside of them. Which
inside the bread?
I know, inside the bread. Isn't that fun? I think that's really cool. All right, so how's that going?
Pretty good.
All right, why don't you how about those corners there? Because then we can show everyone. All right. Oh, Kelly, you have read our mind. Here is the chunky sea salt that does go on top of it. And we want a lot because, again, just that wonderful contrast. We've got the, kind of the savory bread and olive oil. We've got the sweet onions, and we want some salt. All right, my dear, let's finish pouring that on.
And then drizzle it now.
Yeah, so we're going to show just how drizzly and what a wonderful job you did. And I want you, if you can, take a look at these pockets of olive oil. Oh, it's going to be fantastic.
Yay.
Oh, wait.
I'm sorry about that.
Not in the wine.
On the wine, but not in the wine.
Yeah, okay. So, when I say, I want you to shake it. Remember that song we talked about, shake it like a Polaroid picture? Yeah, we need you to put that all in. Okay, good. Get those corners. That's okay, get the corners. You're doing great. Ooh. There are many benefits to having a helper. Ooh, that looks perfect. My goodness, you did a great job. Okay, so here's the super interesting thing. We want to when you put this in the oven to bake, it's going to be at 425, super high. But you're going to want to put in a cup of water into just any old pan and put it on the rack underneath. That steam really gives the bread a very nice texture, but it doesn't stop the bottom from getting a good crust. So it's that perfect combination where you kind of have the tender bread with the delicious crust on the outside.
I just tried it with the olive oil. It's really good.
Isn't it good? Yeah. All right, so when you put it in, one thing I didn't mention before is you definitely want to have non-stick aluminum foil, because I can tell you from experience, it sticks really badly if you don't remember to do that. So you definitely want to do that. And then what you're going to have is you're going to have this very happy loaf of focaccia bread. And you just peel this off. And oops. And look at that. Now, I'm going to, kind of show you it's, so we got the nice crust there, a little bit of brown on the bottom. You can slice it up any way you wish. And honestly, this plate used to have so much more pieces on it, and lots of people ate it, which will tell you how good it was.
I just picking this off my hand.
Look at that. Can you see the olive oil kind of seeping up from the top and from the bottom, and kind of, leaving that little bit of bread in between? You don't need anything else. You might want to dip it into like a little balsamic vinegar, but you don't need any extra oil. And it's just the most wonderful thing for a snack, or to start your dinner, or just to have drinks with your friends.
It's really good.
And it's really good? You like it too? I agree, Allie. Crunchiness matters. Don't be alarmed if the top doesn't brown. That's okay. It's because you have so much other goodness on it. With the onions.
Olive oil left. I'm taking it.
Are you? Maybe I'll fight you for it. Yeah.
Nah.
Olive oil wars. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you will make some focaccia bread. Let us know if you do. If you have any questions, you can always reach me at maureen@wickedlywholesome.com. And we wish you a wonderful International Cabernet Day on Friday. In fact, take a picture of yourself drinking some Cabernet and let us know. Ooh, the special flowers, Kelly, when we update the website tonight, wickedlywholesome.com, with the recipe live streaming area, we will have all the flowers that you need, as well as links if you wanted to get them through Amazon, because that's really the easiest way. We have some stores near us that really have a lot of gluten-free options in terms of the flowers, but some of them are a little harder to get, like the sorghum. So you definitely have that opportunity. And thank you. We are trying to be wicked and wholesome, because I always believe that if you eat all wicked food, you're going to end up dying really soon. But if you eat all wholesome food, you're going to wish you were dead. So we want that perfect combination. So as you embark on your week, please know that we wish you the best, and keep being you, and please never, ever compromise on that. All right, take care.